Hey, it's Barb, and welcome back to our series on the 5 questions for ministry planning. So now that you know what you want to accomplish and who you need, today we're going to look at something really exciting. Question 3, where are the guardrails? So glad you're here today. Hey there, where are you going? Hey, watch out! Thank goodness that guardrail was there. Wonder if guardrails could work anywhere else. Once you know what you most want to accomplish and who you need, it's time to figure out how you're going to do what you do. In other words, it's time to make the rules. This is always fun because who doesn't like rules? Wait, what? Oh, that's right. No one likes rules. Rules tell us what not to do. Rules kill creativity. Rules keep us tightly controlled. Rules can even suck the joy out of your team and make those with their own ideas gradually lose heart. On second thought, don't make rules. Create guardrails instead. 5 questions for ministry planning. Where are the guardrails? So what are guardrails exactly? Guardrails are a way to invite your team members in to be creative and give input within the boundaries that keep everyone in alignment with your mission. In other words, it's creating a set of guidelines for your team so they understand where you're going and how you're getting there, but they also have room to be themselves. Guardrails create freedom within structure. Put simply, guardrails are awesome. So how do you set up these awesome guardrails? Well, it starts by identifying 4 things. The first thing you want to think about are your non-negotiables. What rules, yes rules, we couldn't completely get rid of them, but what rules do you have for your ministry that are set in stone? Non-negotiables include things like safety rules, church policies, things like that. Don't assume that everyone will know these without being reminded. Write them down. This will help protect your ministry and your team. Next, take a look at your core values. Now this is where guardrails gets interesting. Every organization should be able to identify their own core values. Quick check, do you know yours offhand? I hope so, because your core values tell the world who your organization uniquely is. They're the basis for your organizational culture. When we assume that everyone's on the same page with core values, then we set our organization up to lose its identity. This is because unless our team is reminded often about organizational core values, they can be easily forgotten and replaced with each individual's personal core values. And this may mean that different members of the team will do things in different ways. So define your organizational core values and share them often. These will shape the guidelines that you set. Number 3, you want to remember to protect your resources. Know what resources you have and where they're needed most. This way, if someone has a great idea for your ministry that uses resources that are needed elsewhere, then that's something you want to think about before you say yes. And lastly, consider others. Be aware of how the decisions your ministry makes impacts the rest of the church. Remember that none of us live in a bubble, and every decision we make for our ministry impacts the ministries around us. So part of your guardrails will be looking at what matters to other leaders too. Now once you've thought about these 4 things, then you're ready to write the guidelines for your ministry goals. These guardrails will give your volunteers a structure that they can work within, but also leaves room for their own ideas to help make your ministry even better. It's kind of like those guardrails that kept you on the road earlier. You didn't fall over the mountain, but you did still have room to turn around. Freedom within structure. I told you these were awesome. But there's one more thing before you go. Think about a time when you were on a team. Have you ever felt uncomfortable because if you made the wrong move, you're afraid you'd get in trouble? How'd that feel? What about a time when you felt like the options were so general you didn't know what to do next? How was that? Now think about what those situations could have looked like if your team leader had given you guidelines that left you some room for you to be you. What would those guardrails look like? How would have you felt? And what would have happened to your team? Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.